My guest today is Mike C-Roc Ciorrocco. He is a renowned entrepreneur, best-selling author, performance coach, and the host of That1 Podcast. He's the founder of That1 Agency. It's a top-tier podcast booking and media firm that helps entrepreneurs, experts, and thought leaders grow their authority and influence through strategic podcast placements and content amplification. Mike has appeared on over 2,000 podcasts, making him one of the most featured voices in the expert podcasting space. His unique ability to inspire action, shift mindsets, and drive performance has made him a highly sought after guest and host. Mike is regularly featured as a celebrity podcast host and speaker at major business, personal development, and media events across the country. He's brought in to host red carpet interviews, moderate panels, and lead live podcast sessions that blend entertainment with powerful entrepreneurial insights. As the creator of That1 Mastermind, Mike leads a high-level community of entrepreneurs focused on wealth creation, performance, and legacy. Whether on stage, in the studio, or mentoring behind the scenes, Mike helps people convert setbacks into rocket fuel and build lives of deep impact and unstoppable growth. So I asked Mike to come on the show today and talk about business and give some counsel for those of you who are either already business owners or are considering becoming business owners. And even if you don't apply to either of those categories, there's so many valuable mindset insights that Mike shares in this episode that I know you'll get a lot out of it. And last, I'll say I really appreciate his transparency and realness about, what does he call it? The manufactured celebrity. So stay tuned to the end for that part. Okay, let's go ahead and get into it. Here is Mike C-Roc Ciorrocco. This episode is brought to you by Peluva. So Peluva, P-E-L-U-V-A, those are Mark Sisson's new zero drop minimalist shoe with that distinctive 5-toe design. I have been loving them. I've been a longtime fan of barefoot shoes, and I was very resistant to the little 5-toe articulation personally at first, because just being real, I thought they looked really nerdy. And I was like, oh man, yeah, I love Mark so much and I get what he's doing, but I'm not wearing those nerdy shoes. And then Brad Kearns, who's also involved with that project, was like, no, Tara, you got to try them. Tara, you got to try them. Tara, just come on, try them. And I tried them, and I kid you not, I enjoy them so much that I actually like how they look now. Weirdly, I can tell. So like the purpose of that 5-toe articulation is so that your toes can move more dynamically. So with other barefoot shoes, like I've been a long time fan of Vivos, and I'm still a big fan of Vivos, but they have just that big toe box, right? Which is awesome. So I didn't really feel like the 5-toe articulation was necessary, to be honest. But as I've worn them, I have experienced how awesome that is. It was actually been quite surprising for me. And I wore them this morning. I wear them all the time, and I'm really, really enjoying that freedom of movement on my toes. So, yeah, Brad and I have been going back and forth. I'm like, dude, I actually love them. And he offered to sponsor the podcast with Peluva and also offer you guys a 15% off code, which I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, I will gladly introduce my people to Peluva shoes. So you can use code Coach Tara at peluva.com, or you can just go to peluva, peluva.com/Coach Tara, and you can get that 15% off discount. Make sure you snag some of the socks while you're there, because you're going to need the toe socks. Okay. All right, let's get into the episode. Okay, so Mike, you have a pretty incredible story, and you have built quite the business for yourself. And so in case anyone listening isn't one of your 2.3 million Instagram followers and you're new to them, can you share your story, your background with not only business, but I know there's a lot of personal growth involved in that with you too, and just give everyone an idea of who you are?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, Coach Tara, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm humbled every time I get an opportunity to speak to people. And so thank you. Yeah, I was in the mortgage real estate space for 20 years and started as a realtor, loan officer, and then slowly just worked my way up. And eventually, 3 of my best friends I grew up with were in business together, and we created a organization from Philadelphia to Miami with several branches, hundreds of employees, and doing very well for ourselves and figuring it out as we went. You know, it was kind of committed to something and figuring it out on the fly, right? And we didn't have any idea what the heck we were getting into. And there was a lot of scary moments, uncertainty. there was also a lot of wins and you know, a lot of money that came through. We helped a lot of other people, you know, become millionaires, and it was fulfilling to an extent.
Yeah. And so from there, was it just an all uphill climb? No lows or
Of
anything
course
like
not.
that?
No, of course not. So when we were starting to build, we started with one branch. It was just me and one guy, and he was one of my best friends since I don't know, 10 or 11 years old. And we had no idea what we were doing. And we were just basically salespeople that had some managerial experience trying to run a business. And so I just focused on the whole time of like, we got to get money. We got to get money. We got to get money. We got to get, you know, sales, revenue. And then the rest took care of itself kind of thing. And there was some points in the business, in the mortgage business, we didn't understand where we didn't get the money right away when we did a loan closing. Sometimes there was things where we had the lender credit money ahead of time. And we built this big debt up of lender credits while we were waiting for our loans to get sold so we could get paid. And we were expecting money in, and we got a call. I'm like, what do you mean? You don't get the money until the loans get bought on the secondary market. And we're like, what? We didn't know that. But it wasn't the responsibility of the other people to share that with us. We blame them. We're like, why didn't you tell us this? And throughout my entrepreneurial journey, one thing I realized is you have to take 100% responsibility for everything. And when you blame other people, you just give up your control. You give up your freedom in a way to someone else.
And your learning lessons. You give up your learning lessons.
100%. And we just, man, we learn quick, you know. And I think learning that way is better because it really sinks in when it hurts, when you suffer a little or a lot. And so, yeah, that was one situation. And then we got going. And once we had the pipeline going, we were fine. But the next thing that happened was, you know, not knowing, you know, the checks and balances and to keep an eye on things. And there was a time where there was money being skimmed from us, and to the tune of probably close to $1 million. And I could blame that person, those people, all I want to. But at the end of the day, it was our money, and it was our responsibility to keep a check on it. So that just taught me to pay attention to your money and don't trust anything. Don't assume anything. Not that you don't trust people, but you just need, you know, people sometimes will have ill intent, but they'll also sometimes think they're doing the right thing or make mistakes. It doesn't hurt to have a second set of eyes on it. So I just learned a lot in that, you know, and then build upon it and used it all as fuel for the future as I was building my next venture, for example. So yeah, no, it wasn't all roses and sunshines and all that kind of stuff. And I'm glad it wasn't.
Yeah, you hit on something so big, that ownership piece. If you know, and I'm hoping that this episode will hit those people who are either wanting to start their own thing, or maybe they're in the early stage or any stage of it and want to expand and grow. And I definitely can resonate with that. I've had many experiences where I'm like, oh, they were dishonest and they said they could do this and they didn't deliver that. Well, it's like, well, you didn't ask questions. You know, like, you have to get to that ownership piece, or you continuously just feel like a victim and you miss out on all these lessons and personal growth that are necessary to expand and grow.
And in life and in business, it's the same thing. Relationships. Until you learn the lesson that's required for you to learn, you will keep experiencing setbacks, adversity, heartaches.
Yep.
And, you know, the quicker you can learn the lessons, the better.
Yep. 100%. Okay. So we have mortgage, real estate guy, but now we have that one agency owner doing events, millions of followers on Instagram, hosting your podcast. How did you get from there to here?
Yeah, so I was making a lot of money in that business. I hated it. I didn't really like that business. And I was living a life of, you know, transaction, build revenue, chase the next clients, and the next level. And I would come home to a beautiful wife I've been married to for 22 years, 2 healthy kids, a house on the water, and I was miserable. And I was like, why is it like this, man? I was so conflicted because I thought I was doing everything I was supposed to be doing. Have a great business, have a family, and, you know, have some nice things. And it just didn't feel good. And so I started to feel trapped because of the money and the lifestyle. We didn't live extravagant lifestyle by any means, but we just, you know, live in a certain lifestyle. I wanted to maintain that and grow it. And I couldn't imagine doing anything else to make that kind of money because I was a college dropout, kind of fell into this. But what I started to realize is, wait a minute. So the business itself is not why we were successful. It's me and my team and the actions we were taking, and the business itself, the mortgage business, for example, real estate was just a vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to realize, like, if I know how to do this, I just have to happen to figure out another vehicle. So one thing I did know is I needed to get around mentors that have done things that I want to do. And I want to start really diving in deep into who I am, what I'm here for. What did God put me here for? What's the mission? What's the target? What are my weaknesses and strengths? And become hyper self-aware of where I was lacking and where I was good, and also my insecurities. And then once I find that, create this identity that I want to step into and be all unapologetic about it and just lean in, not worrying about what people think or anything. One of my mentors told me, Tara, that was, Grant Cardone, he told me, he said, dude, you're too powerful not to be known globally. And I was like, I don't know about that, man. I don't really care about celebrity and all that. And he said, no, you're thinking ego. What I'm talking about is for impact. And if you do this authentically and you step into this and lean into it, you'll create what I call an attraction model. And he said most people are living, chase mode. They're in chase mode, and 99% of people doing that aren't ever going to be fulfilled because they're in chase mode. And if you do what I'm telling you, you'll create an attraction model where the right opportunities, the right people will come into your life. And you won't be able to explain it because you're not deep into understanding how this works yet, but you will just see these things happen. And he said, just as important, you will also have repelling happening of the wrong opportunities and the wrong people. And you'll notice that your environment starts to clean up and you'll be able to start moving further, faster. And I said, wow, okay, but I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to get known globally. He said, you don't need to know how. You need to commit, because if you didn't commit and you knew the how, you wouldn't do the stuff it takes. And when it got hard and you didn't feel like it, you wouldn't do it. You'd quit. I said, that makes sense too. Okay. We're making a lot of sense here. I'll commit. I'm all in. Let's go. What do I got to do? He said, now go get on podcasts. I said, which ones? He said, all of them. And I'm like, okay, all of them. All right. So I got off that call, went to my assistant, said, Kim, I need to get on podcasts every day. Like, we got to figure this out. She goes, how? I said, I don't know, but we got to commit. And what ended up happening was I ended up going on 7 to 10 podcasts as a guest for 5 years straight. 7 to 10 a week, 7 to 10 a week, 7 to 10 a week, whether I felt like it or not, whether I was telling the same story over and over again, getting tired and sick of it, just telling the stories, relating to people, sharing what I learned. And what happened was, as the months would go by, bigger podcasts started coming, live stage opportunities in front of 15,000 people, as many as 15,000. I'd be speaking with presidents and billionaires and people I'd see on TV. And then I end up in the green room with them. And then I noticed, Tara, that they would start to talk to me like a peer. And instead of me being in a position where I was looking up to them, putting them on a pedestal, they were talking to me like I was a peer. And I was just like, wow, this stuff works. And when I find something that works, like with a lot of people, I become evangelist about it. I want to help other people. I want to show people. And so during that process, my network expanded drastically. And I had people coming to me from all angles, like, hey, can you connect me with so-and-so? I need capital. I need this. I need that. Can you get me on a podcast? And I started to realize there was a problem. And when you design some new business, the best way to do it is to find a problem that people would be willing to pay money for, a lot of money for. That solves a problem, saves time for them, makes things more efficient, connects them. And at that point, I realized, like, hey, we got something here. And we created the brand That1. And That1 became the #1 podcast booking firm in North America over the last 5 years. And we work with some of the top people in their space, whether it's health and wellness, biohacking, longevity, to tech entrepreneurs, any kind of entrepreneurs, billion-dollar CEOs, New York Times bestselling authors, entertainment professionals, you name it. They started coming to us in droves, wanting to get connected, because they realized before I even did that we had an asset, which was this amazing network. And that's how That1 formulated. And today we're constantly helping some of the top people in the world, and then networking with them as well, and collaborating and connecting them beyond the podcast space.
So cool. You hit on some really big gems there. I think one of the things that I see that people fail to recognize in terms of wanting to live their dreams or, build some sort of crazy, cool new reality for themselves is they don't get mentors. And so when you said that you sought out, not only did you seek out mentors, but you wanted to see your insecurities, you wanted to see your shadows, like, give it to me. What am I missing here? How did you go about choosing your mentors? What was your criteria? What were you looking for?
Well, but by the way, let me speak to that thing about confronting and
Mm-hmm.
wanting to be self-aware and identify with your,
Mm-hmm.
insecurities, find out where you are.
Mm-hmm.
There's a thing called confrontation, and most people shy away from confrontation. The fact of the matter is there's things in our lives we need to confront. And if we don't confront them, the longer it takes for us to confront, the more pressure builds up. And we're
Mm-hmm.
all forced, no matter how you look at it, we're all forced to confront the things that need to be confronted. So what I learned in that process is that, the quicker you can confront something that needs to be confronted and identify it, the faster you can get, advancement and handle things. And so I've been very quick now to confront things that need to be confronted. Everybody has a negative connotation with the word confront,
Mm-hmm.
confrontation. I'm not good with confrontation. And then
Mm-hmm.
they experience that they're not good with confrontation. I just know that now that, like, I say this to myself all the time, I'm a confronter. I'll confront. I'll handle things. And it can be done the right way, not negatively.
Mm-hmm.
So, but as far as the mentorship part goes, I just look for people that I related to,
Mm-hmm.
I'd watch their stuff, read their book, and it would just like, man, I can relate to this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would go deep. And a lot of the mentors that I had, they didn't even know I was being mentored by them. I would immerse myself in their content. And
Mm-hmm.
then eventually I would invest in them. I would
Mm-hmm.
see what programs they have. I'd go to their events. I would see how I could help and serve and connect them. And then they got to know who I was, and I would always show up, and they
Mm-hmm.
would notice me, and I would get attention. Attention
Mm-hmm.
is a really valuable currency. And
Mm-hmm.
I figured out how to get attention. And then I looked and figured, okay, the mentor has people around him. How can I get attention and be, known by the people around them that influence them? And when you do that, then the person that you're being mentored by, that you'd want to connect with, the people around them know you. They're talking about you. You impact them, and then that person hears about you. And then I even became friends with some of my mentors and hung out with them, and so yeah, that's the way I did it, and it works. And at some point you got to take the good and the bad, good, and then leave the bad. So some of the mentors I had, I noticed I'm very observant. As a kid, I grew up around a lot of brokenness. And I would always observe as a youngster, like why somebody was doing something, why they were being the way they were. And I
Mm-hmm.
would take the good and look at the good from them. And then also the bad, I would just leave. I would leave it with them, just leave the bad away. And because everybody's flawed, there's nobody that's perfect, right? So same
Mm-hmm.
thing with mentors. I would just take the good from them. And then the bad stuff, I would just leave it there.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's such a powerful story. I think that so often people want to build success and they're just like sitting in their house, and it's like you're only going to be working from the same materials that you already have if you don't get exposed to new materials. And when I was building my business, I'd be like, what are they doing that I'm not doing? That was always my question. It was like, well, do you have a book? Do you have a podcast? Are you doing any, you're not, are you going out and hiring mentors and, putting the money in and putting the time in and getting it? No, you're not. Okay. Well, that's why you aren't in that place, and I think that's the accountability piece that a lot of people miss when they really want to like build business and really grow, is like failing to see what are the people who are doing what you want to be doing, and get up. Let's go. Get on it.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. You gotta extrovert. You gotta get out there. You gotta
Mhm.
get flow energy outward. A lot of people label themselves as an introvert too, and that's fine. You can label yourself whatever you want, but at the end of the day, introversion is a non-survival behavior. Extroversion is a survival behavior. So anytime you feel like, anxiety creeping in, or you're not sure, uncertainty and all this, the best thing to do is take action on something. Just move in a direction of where you want to go, some form or fashion, whether it's reaching out to someone, posting something, do a podcast, whatever it is, go to an event, just extrovert. And what happens is you'll start to feel this energy, and it'll start building confidence. And then you just stack it, stack it, stack
Mhm.
it, stack it. Before you know, it's exponentially powerful. You can feel this new confidence.
Yeah, I'm going to make a note on this because there's something I've observed through the mindset, life coaching into things with this introvert extrovert thing. I would consider myself an extrovert. Obviously, probably both of you and I would consider ourselves extroverts. That doesn't mean that I don't need and demand for myself my alone time to be able to process and think and all of that. What I've noticed in many people, I'm not saying it, I'm not trying to invalidate here, but in a lot of people who are calling themselves introverts, the reason they feel exhausted when they're around other people is because they have this constant self judgment judgment of others, second conversation going on in their head. They're thinking, what are they thinking about me? They're judging themselves or judging them. And that's exhausting. What I have found in most people who consider themselves extroverts is that's not happening. They're their face value. They're more interested in the other people around them than they are thinking about themselves. And so that's actually fills you, energizes you because you're learning and you're curious and you're not sitting there judging them and yourself the whole time. So just throwing that out there in case that's the part of introversion. I'm not saying there aren't like quiet people that just like to, be quiet. But there's this whole other side. I think when people say, oh, I'm exhausted being around other people, I'm like, you might want to take a look inside of what's going on when you're around other people, because that's the part of extroverts that I don't see that happening. They are just genuinely curious about the people around them and take those little nuggets of gold and they're like, yay, and move along their merry way.
Yeah. There's a lot of wasted energy and focus and tension on things when people are like that. They're worried about all those things you mentioned, and it wastes energy. So, I don't really concern myself with what people think, and I don't have to do that. Like, when you're showing interest in other people and you're interested and you're in a service mode, you don't really worry about that. So
exactly.
I agree.
I want to go back to your confrontation thing because this was really, really powerful when you're saying that when you won't confront those things in your life that need to be confronted, there's a pressure that builds up. Can you elaborate, like maybe an example of that?
Yeah, 100%. So there could be a romantic relationship you're in, that something's bothering you or you need something in that relationship, but you don't communicate it. And eventually it builds up and you're not communicating it. And then you start to resent your partner and act like it's all their fault. When here you haven't even confronted the issue of sharing with them what you need or what you'd like, or maybe they're doing something that's really like impacting the relationship and you just don't communicate in an effective manner or at all. And so eventually relationships end because of that. And it could have been handled early on. It might be a tough conversation at first, but that tough conversation will get way tougher the longer you wait. It could be that relationship. It could be in business where you have a partner and you're in business together and, you need something in the business, same thing, or the money situation, you have a money talk, or if it's a client and the client is, not acting like they should be acting and doing their part. And you have to have a tough conversation with them. Like, hey, this is the deal. Here's the expectations from each of us. This is a team situation in a way. And I want to support you to win and we want to win and it's win-win. And, this is what needs to be done here, but they don't have that conversation. And then the deal situation, it just goes awry. It could be your own money situation where you need to confront how much you're spending versus how much you're bringing in. And you just don't ever look at it. You don't look at your bank account. You don't look at your credit card statements. The longer you wait, the more it builds up. And then the pressure the whole time, subconsciously, you have this thing built up inside of you. Like, I know there's something wrong. Oh my gosh. And there's something, and that affects your creativity, your productivity. And you can really sink you.
Yeah. And I have found for myself, when I have those areas of my life I'm not addressing or confronting, there's usually some sort of self-judgment and self-pressuring going on, is like shaming myself, like you should be further along here, or, this part of your life is a mess, which then makes me not want to address it anymore because I associate it with all this negative self-talk. And then assuming that I should be so much further along. Right. And so then that creates this unbelievable pressure and self-shaming and all this stuff that just makes me avoid it longer and longer. And so when I find those areas, I'm like, okay, hey, it's okay where you're at. We're going to baby step this, just like you're like obese and you've never worked out a day in your life and you don't know how to eat well. Like, this is going to be baby steps. We're going to start really small and we're just going to build a habit. To me, that's what I found is like those areas of my life, I don't have any sort of routine or habit that helps me have success consistently in that area. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, really, here's the thing. It doesn't really matter why you're doing it, because when you bring up the reasons why you're doing it, to me, it seems like we create these, oh, this is why I'm doing it. And then that allows me to live with myself for living this way. So I don't like the, and I know a lot of people think, oh man, I gotta figure out why I'm doing this so that I can handle that. Well, how about just making a decision that this is what I'm going to do from now on? We don't need to overcomplicate it. People want complicated answers to correct things for themselves or to do things. You give them a simple thing that can fix things. Like, it's just a simple decision. I'm going to start confronting things faster. Period. Done. End. That's it. And then you start acting on that. And when you do that, you get results. When you start focusing on the other things, all you're doing is delaying making a decision. And that's called, when you delay making a decision, it's called being stuck in a maybe, indecisiveness. And that's the worst place. And most people live in maybes. They're stuck in maybes and they don't move. And so that's one thing. If people aren't moving as fast as they want to go or going where they want to go, they should check, what areas of my life do I need to make a decision in? Confront it, make a decision. Where am I stuck in a maybe? You know,
Yeah.
by the way, like when you work in a business and you're trying to, get somebody on board with you, and they're like, oh, I got to talk to my parents. I mean, my spouse, my business partner. I got to think about it. Let me take a look at it. It's either yes or no. Like, are you on board with this or you're not? Like, all they do when they're doing that is they're stuck in a maybe and they will not advance. So I'm big on this. I don't need to pressure anybody. Here's the deal. This is what we offer. You said you wanted to do something like this. You need to invest in yourself. You know that. It's either yes or no. Don't tell me that you got to think about it, because if you got to think about it, you're just lying to yourself and getting, digging yourself deeper and deeper into a maybe. So I don't care if you don't come aboard. We built a company that's built on an attraction model, not chase. I'm not going to talk you into doing this. One thing I am going to tell you though, is if you don't like commit one way or the other, you're just stuck in a maybe and you're not going anywhere. So, and if you want to do that, that's fine. But just now you're aware of it, because I'm telling you.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So basically what I'm hearing that's a habit. Allowing yourself to be stuck in a maybe, it becomes like a habit. It's definitely a weak point for me. I mean, I've made progress, but I definitely still get stuck in maybes all the time. I full disclosure.
Yeah, well, and then you just said, that's something, a weak point for me. Well, don't say that anymore. Because if you say it, you're going to continue to experience it. So the simple thing, right? I'm very good at confronting things and making decisions, and I make them quick. And you start saying that, you'll start doing that. It's that easy. Okay?
Yeah.
And if you don't, then you're just going to continue to live whatever your story you're telling yourself and making yourself feel good. It's a thing that serves you. When I don't know, I was at a Flyers game last night with my son, and I didn't want to drive all the way into the city before the game into Philly, and I was going to get some healthier food, but then I'm like, I don't feel like driving. I don't know what the traffic's going to be like. I told myself a story, and then we go there and I eat a smash burger with fries. I just told myself a story, and so that I could feel good about myself with that. This is the food I'm going to eat today. And I know I'm doing it. Nobody's perfect. I'm better, very, very good at it compared to a lot of people. But, you're going to, and then you got to, realize, okay, wait a minute. I just told myself a story to live with that, and that's not happening again. So let's get back on the train. And I don't beat myself up over it, but I just know I'm aware of it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's been a process for me, and I'm grateful for the progress that I've made, but yeah, there's still room for improvement, but that's all right. But not anymore.
Always,
not anymore.
Always.
Not since
always
I talked
room
to
for
Mike.
Improvement though. Yeah, we're always going, as long as we're going in the right direction.
Okay. So speaking of which, as you know, I'm sure, because people probably ask you for advice constantly, and it's kind of in your realm. You're doing all these events, you're doing podcasts, you're helping entrepreneurs. There are a lot of people that are, what would I call it? Entreprecurious. They're really thinking about it. Maybe they have a good career. They're kind of where you were. It's like that. What did you call it? Trapped. It's like, I'm making good money. I'm stuck here. I don't know if I can do that if I jump ship into something else. What advice do you have for someone in that position?
Yeah, it's really, this life is so short. I don't know if any of you have seen old people that are like hunched over and they're walking on the street or at the store or something. And you're like, man, that's not that long from now. Like that's going to come quick. So every day matters. And then you start to think, okay, well, if that's the case, then how do I really want to live my life?
Yeah.
And we are capable of way more than we think we're capable of. So I just start getting really clear. Okay, what kind of life do I want to live? For me, it was, I don't want to be stuck in an office all day. When I travel, I want to have it paid for. I don't want to pay for it. And I want to travel with cool people. So I built my business around that. I'm going to build a business around hanging out with cool people. And I'm going to have it paid for when I travel. I'm going to take my family with me. So, well, that means I got to take my daughter out of school and homeschool her. Okay, no problem. Figure it out. And then I just get really clear on what I want. And when you get really clear on what you want, you can start making actions and taking actions that align with that lead you there, one at a time, even just chip away, boom, boom, boom. Eventually, now some people might say, well, I want to hang out with cool people and do all this stuff, but like, I don't know if a lot of cool people want to hang out with me. Well, then, okay, then that's just very clear to you that what you need to do. Now you need to build yourself into an attraction model. What are you lacking? Like, is it your appearance and you don't feel good about yourself? Then start working out and eat right. Is it that you're not around enough cool people? Go to events where cool people hang out. Have build something that like a value that you can offer people. Start figuring out ways you can serve people. I don't know what that is for people. I didn't know at first either. And I remember that I didn't know, but that didn't stop me from going to figure it out. I didn't just say, man, I don't know how I can serve people and what the problem is that people would pay me for. And I might as well not do it. No, I started asking questions. I started having one thing I do. I have 15 mini phone calls with people, Zoom calls with people that are perfect strangers. That whether it's a mutual friend that I don't know very well, or if it's a person that I saw on Instagram that intrigued me, that's doing amazing things, and I just DM them and say, hey, I love your content, and I thought, man, you'd be cool to hang out with and get to know better, find out what you're working on. Let's explore synergy, man. Let's hop on a call, and let's do 15 minutes just to see what each other are doing, and let's explore synergy. And I did that, and I do that 5 to 8 times a day, Monday through Friday. Oh. Because I knew that I needed to find cool people and hang out with cool people. So I committed, and then I just stacked things on top of it. And before you know it, now I teach people how to do the 15 mini, which is a speed networking call with perfect strangers.
You are like the epitome of solutions mindset. I bet people who like to be stuck and not figuring out solutions probably aren't your favorite people to hang around.
No, they're not really. But it's really finding out what you want, the type of life you want, and causing and creating that future, designing it. But before you can do that, you got to commit to it. You got to know what it is and get clear, and then commit to it. All out commit. This is how I want to do it. And what happens is, like, even if you don't get to that perfect life you designed and got clear on, which you will, by the way, you're moving towards it, making your life better every single day. And so every single day over time, months go by, you should be in a better position.
Yeah. I think for me, like, routines are huge for that. Like, anything that I know that I'm going to create, it's got to be consistent. I have to have a routine around it. Right. So right now I'm writing a book and I have some financial goals. And so every morning it's just half an hour, but every single morning for half an hour, I work on both of those things, because it's that commitment. Is every day, awesome? No. Some days I'm like, oh God, I don't know how to say this in a cool and creative way. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to keep going. And so, that commitment with consistency. I mean, consistency is like your middle name. Holy crap. That's impressive. So many of those calls. But
and a lot of people don't understand how to get consistency from themselves. And here's how you do it. Like, I also call it 100% participation. So how do I get 100% participation from myself? Well, I know I'm going to do it when I feel like it. I know I'm going to do it when it's easy. The times that I'm not sure is when it's hard or I don't feel like it. So all you got to do, this is a simple fix. Do it when you don't feel like it, and do it when it's hard. And then you're going to do it the other times. And now you have 100% participation from yourself. Now, if you need a break, take a break. Don't beat yourself up, but get back on the horse as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. One more piece of advice. Somebody who they're already an entrepreneur or run a business and they want to grow, especially those who want to grow on social media. Like, I don't know how you did 2.3 million. That's pretty impressive. Maybe it's all those podcasts and all. I mean, you do own like one of the biggest agencies in the biz, but somebody who wants to really expand and get higher in how they're showing up in their business, what advice would you have for them?
Podcasting, be on podcasts, like guesting. What happens when you go on a podcast? A couple things that people don't realize. Number one, you're leveraging someone else's audience, which everybody knows that. That's why most people want to go on a podcast. They want to leverage and be in front of someone else's audience that they've built. But that's, to me, icing on the cake, because the podcast hosts are some of the most connected people on the planet. And if you go on their show, they get to know you. And then what I did every single time was I did one of those 15 mini speed networking calls. Within a week or two of the show, I would do it with the host. And then I would get to know the host and show genuine interest in them. And when you do that, it's like a switch goes off. They want to champion you. They want to like share things with you. They want to connect you with other people. And so I did that over and over and over and over again. Then the other thing is, when you go on someone's podcast, they post it, right? It goes on Spotify, Apple, that goes on their website. When it goes on their website, your Google search optimization for your name goes up, right? And now if you Google search Mike C-Roc, you'll see pages and pages of podcasts that I've been on, which That plus when they repurpose the content or you repurpose the content into clips, you blast it all over social media, and then it's all over their social media. You create omnipresence. And people see you being interviewed multiple times by different people, your credibility and authority goes through the roof. Actually, I should say your perceived credibility and authority goes through the roof. What they see and perceive, like this person's being interviewed by Tara. Coach Tara's got C-Roc on. And then I saw C-Roc over here on Dr. Janelle's podcast. And then I saw him over here on Brad Lee's podcast. And I saw him over here. And then before you know it, they're like, this guy must be important, or, to pay attention to. And then that boosts everything. And so for me, that was it. And then, you have to understand also all celebrity is manufactured. And so there's a lot of smoke and mirrors. And I would say at least half of my following is probably fake. Most people won't admit to that because they don't want to share the smoke and mirrors, but I'm okay with who I am. I know who I am. And when people meet me, I'm the real deal. Like, I'm authentic. They're not going to be disappointed when they meet me in person. They might say you're shorter than I thought you were. I'm 5'7", but most people are like, damn, I thought you were taller. But they won't ever be disappointed in who I portrayed to be, like my authenticity. So, but on social media, movie industry, music industry, actors, all these different things, athletes, a lot of times, they will manufacture celebrity. They'll get press done about them. They'll get billboards. They'll run streams on Spotify. It's all smoke and mirrors. And what happens is you manufacture this buzz, and then people get interested and then they follow you. And so if you don't know that, you're watching people that have millions and millions of followers on social media and think that they just got it by posting things.
Right.
And that's not the case.
Right.
Even the ladies that take their clothes off online, there's some of them that have OnlyFans accounts and all that, and nobody ever gives them any money. Nobody gets on their social media feeds and does anything, because the ones that are winning are manufacturing celebrity. You can't even just take your clothes off, which is probably the most thing that grabs people's eyes, let's face it. And that doesn't even work without the manufacturing of celebrity. You see? So, I mean, here's an example. There's a story of an artist, and he was painting pictures that were pretty awesome to him. He thought they were cool. And nobody would pay attention to him otherwise until he manufactured celebrity. So what he did was he manufactured this story of someone buying his art for $30,000. Now, the way he did it was, it really happened because he did a service for someone that was something else, or somebody owed him $30,000. But then he said, I'm going to do that service for free, but the painting is $30,000. But he was really going to give the painting away, but he was the service, and he just basically rotated it. And now he could put press release out that so-and-so sold a painting for $30,000. Then people see that, and he gets omnipresence all over the place. And then people are like, when's his next painting? Does he have any other paintings? When's his next painting coming out? Right? And the people that have that money to invest in art are like, when's his next painting coming out, man? He painted one, he sold it for $30,000. I want to see what else he has, or when's the next thing? And he creates anticipation, FOMO, all manufactured.
Yeah. I appreciate your honesty with all that. I mean, that is the name of the game. That is how it works. Like when most of the people that you're seeing on podcasts is because they have an agency and they're paying money to get on, to have them help them get on podcasts. And yeah, you see that same doctor and she's on, oh wow, now she's on this big podcast, and that one, like, she is like the best doctor in the world, and it's pretty much paid for. So just the reality check is,
yeah, I mean,
and honesty is nice.
You're going to pay money, time, attention, energy. You're going to pay something. But most people honestly aren't willing to play that game. And then then you'll hear some people say, man, I got this far and I didn't even pay for it, and everything's been organic. And most of the time they're lying, but let's say it all is organic. Then you could say to them, are you serious? Like, you did that with that, and you could have manufactured some celebrity and gone way further. People will never compete with those that know the game and play the game. They just will never compete with them. They'll never get on the same level. So it's up to you if you don't want to play the game. To me, if you have an authentic mission that you really can impact the world, and you don't do the right thing, as far as, to me, it's the right thing, manufacture, get attention, get buzz, you're missing an opportunity. Look, politicians do it all the time. You cannot become president or senator, congressman without manufacturing some kind of celebrity around yourself. And the president that's in office right now, whether you like him, love him, hate him, whatever, he's one of the best at it. And there's no way he would have got to be president of the United States without The buzz, like the first thing he announced, he's coming down the escalator at Trump Towers. He did The Apprentice for years and years and years. Every time right now, this is important to, like, I study this stuff. I don't even care about politics. I don't even get involved with it. I study this stuff. Joe Biden was hardly ever seen, right?
Yeah.
Trump will have a cabinet meeting that's usually closed doors behind scenes. He'll do a big press conference every week with a cabinet meeting. And then everybody, they talk about things, and right in front of everybody, they get attention, answer questions, all that stuff. If there's some other thing that pops up, he's signing some kind of executive order, he's signing to open the government back up. I want a press conference for this. I'm not doing this just in my office by myself. But most people don't understand it, and they're not willing to play the game.
Wow. Reality check. Yeah, I get people come up to me and they're like, how do I grow my social media? And then they'll say, I hate social media. I'm like, well, work on that one first, because you ain't never going to do it. And then you're not going to just start. I don't care how good your content is. You're not, at least today in 2025, almost 2026, you're not going to just start posting stuff on social media and become some big, huge, famous person on social media. That is not going to happen. Most likely.
Nobody hates something that they're good at.
Yeah, I tell them, I'm like, I would do social media for free. Like, even if I didn't have a business anymore, I would still do that. I enjoy doing that. It brings me joy to share all this awesome information that I've gained with people. I don't care if they end up buying from me or ever. Like, social media helped me, and that's why it brings me joy to help them. And until you change that relationship, you're not going to be good at social media.
Yeah. I mean, if you hate something, you've got to kind of like look into it and say, okay, man, I must not be good at this. And I'm not good at it just because I don't know something. So that's one thing for me. Any insecurities I had, I just realized I just don't know something. So then that gives me control over the situation where I'll go find out something.
Yeah.
You know, and nowadays with AI, shoot, like you can go on ChatGPT and Grok and Claude, all these different ones, and you just go, hey, I'm feeling insecure in this area. Talk to me like you're my, I paid $100,000 for a coach, and be the best and take from all these experts, whatever, and just give me some answers here. Why am I insecure about this, and what do I need to know? What don't I know?
Yeah.
But most people don't want to confront it.
Yep. And it kind of goes back to that same thing I was saying about the extroverts and the introverts. It's like, are you making it about you? Because when I show up on social media, that's not about me. I'm not trying to be some big celebrity or something. I'm trying to help. I care about them. What do they need? How can I help? What will be helpful to them today? And then it's fulfilling.
Here's the thing. You may not be wanting to be just a celebrity by itself, but at the end of the day, if you're not a celebrity in your space, you're not helping the amount of people that you could help.
Yeah.
So everybody should, if you're in that business of service or what have you, or, the product that you're selling or whatever, you need to get known. You need to be known. Like, you got to be that one in your space. That's why I came up with that. Because if you don't, God gave you abilities to do something that serve people, and you're just letting him down. You're not going to the potential that you have. And that, to me, is unacceptable. One thing I never want to do is don't want to die one day and face my creator and say, man, you gave me all this, and this is the only thing I did with it. You hear the line sometimes, if I could just help one person, that's going to be enough. No, that's BS. That's the story they're telling themselves so they can feel good about not having a big audience or big client list or what have you. And I'm just not okay with that.
Last thing to cap that off, can you tell me about, like, when you were talking to Grant and he was like, oh, you think it's ego, but it's not. Like, can you share how that has felt for you, of like getting a bigger reach, creating celebrity, and how that isn't ego?
Yeah, well, I first I would go to events and things when people started. I got some notoriety, and I'd go to events even if I wasn't speaking, and people would come up to me, "Hey, can I take a selfie with you?" "Oh man, C-Roc, this and that," and I would just thought it was so weird, and I'm like, man, like, this stuff does work, but my family doesn't. My kids don't even want to take pictures with me. What do you mean you want to take a selfie with me? And then I started to realize, like, I'm making it about myself in a way sometimes, and I'm feeling it, and I don't like it, and so I started to think to myself, okay, what can I do to get other people known and be the person that works with people to get their story out? And I don't have to be an expert in every area. Like, I felt like I had to have the answer for everything all the time. And I said, you know what, if I can get around people that are geniuses in their area and then just connect them with other people and then get them on shows or get their message out further and help them go further faster, now I have exponential impact. I don't have to have an ego about like what I know or what I don't know. I just have the people around me that know the things. And I'm just pushing them further faster and being a part of the spread their mission. And that worked for me. And the ego thing, has to me, my ego is just to keep me safe. Once it goes past that, it's dangerous. So I keep it in check.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And having some sort of service really helps no matter where you're at in that journey. It's like I hear a huge like service mindset is what
Yeah,
keeps you
for
happy and
sure.
fulfilled versus back in your mortgage days. It's a service, but this is different. All right.
For
So,
sure.
okay. So let's hit on that one. And for people who might be interested, and then I know you do events and you've got your podcast. Can you tell them a little bit more how they can learn about everything you're offering?
Yeah. So if anybody is interested in getting booked on podcasts, top podcasts, we don't mess around with just getting you on shows. This is like a situation where we want to get you on the right shows. You can check out that1agency.com, the number one agency.com. You can book a discovery call. But the other thing is I had this network and I'm like, I need to figure out a way to centralize this network. So I created a WhatsApp chat. It's called That1 Network. And That1 Network, we even have it like this thing where the events come from is the inner circle. People said, hey, we want to invest in you and put on some kind of events and bring us together. So we can go deeper with you, have access to your resources, your network, and then we can all like thrive together and fill each other's gaps with our geniuses. So That1 Quantum Expansion was born a few months ago, and we have 18 founding members now, 18 or 20 founding members. And we do events quarterly at amazing locations and really expand our beingness and blow our belief lids off. A belief lid is where your belief is capped, right? So we like to blow that lid off so that we can really expand together. And so, yeah, if anybody's interested in any of that, you can DM me on Instagram at Mikey C-Roc, MIKY CROC.
Amazing. And the podcast, of course.
Yep, I have two podcasts, That1 Podcast and What Are You Made Of? So anybody can check those out too. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mike. This has been amazing. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Inside Out Health Podcast. I hope it's been helpful to you in your journey. If you think that it might be helpful to someone you know, please share it with them. Please share on social media. It really helps me grow the show and reach more people with these amazing messages. And if you could be so kind as to rate the show and possibly even leave me a review, that really helps. So much thanks in advance if you do that. And yeah, please subscribe if you want to hear more of this type of content. I have lots of amazing expert guests on the way. All right. Thank you.